Think you can take on a Sigma female and come out victorious? Think again. Taking on her isn't just a mistake. It's a losing battle you've already signed up for. She's not interested in petty drama or games. She's focused, unshakable, and busy building the life she wants. Every attempt you make to bring her down only proves her strength and fuels her growth. While you're caught up in your schemes, she's already moved on, thriving as if you never existed. Trying to break her spirit will only leave you tangled in your own web. Ready to empower yourself? Subscribe to the Sigma Sisterhood channel and join the journey of resilience and growth. 1. She's not engaged. A Sigma female is like an uncatchable shadow. Try as you might to confront her, she's not even in the game. Imagine preparing for a showdown, strategizing your every move, only to find out she's not even aware of the fight. She's too busy thriving, chasing her goals and focusing on things that truly matter. Her world doesn't revolve around others' attempts to drag her down. She's tuned into her own frequency. When you try to rattle her, she doesn't react the way you expect. While you're caught up in trying to win a battle that doesn't exist, she's already 100 steps ahead. She's detached, not out of cruelty, but because she knows her energy is precious. Why waste time in conflicts that don't serve her when she could be investing that energy into her personal growth, career, or passions? It's like preparing for a fight when the opponent doesn't even show up. The real power of a Sigma female is her ability to detach and remain unbothered. She's not cold, she's selective with her focus. This self-awareness allows her to move through life without getting tangled in the chaos others try to bring. She's mastered the art of indifference, and her silence isn't a retreat, it's a choice. The more you push, the less she cares, and that's where your plans begin to crumble. While you're busy swinging at the air, she's moving forward, unaffected and untouched. 2. You prove her strength. Trying to hurt a Sigma female is like lighting a fire and expecting her to burn. Instead, she uses that fire to forge herself stronger. Every attempt you make to drag her down becomes a testament to her resilience. She's not one to dwell on negativity. Instead, she sees it as an opportunity for growth. You think you're her adversary, but in reality, you're just a minor hurdle in her journey of self-discovery. The beauty of a Sigma female's strength lies in her ability to transform adversity into fuel. Every obstacle you place in her path becomes a stepping stone. She won't let emotional attacks break her. She will simply rise above them, each time proving how unstoppable she truly is. Instead of being crushed, she quietly uses these moments as proof of her resilience and inner power. She won't make a scene, and she won't show weakness. So, while you think you're crafting a narrative where you play the villain and she's the victim, the truth is you're simply a character in a chapter she will soon overcome. Her journey continues upward, and every attempt you make only fuels her rise. She walks away with a badge of strength, and you're left as a mere memory of someone who tried and failed to bring her down. You'll realize too late that your efforts only spotlighted her unbreakable nature. 3. You lose control before you even realize it. When you think you've got a Sigma female cornered, you're actually falling into your own trap. You see, she's not playing the same game as you. While you're throwing emotional jabs, scheming to manipulate and attempting to create chaos, she's standing back, cool and collected. Her calm demeanor isn't just for show. It's a strategy she's perfected. What you don't realize is that while you're busy plotting, she's observing, analyzing, and learning. She stays unbothered because she knows that engaging in your game only gives you power. Instead, she lets you wear yourself out. By the time you realize you never had control in the first place, she's already miles ahead, completely unfazed by your tactics. The beauty of her approach is her ability to maintain her dignity and poise no matter what you throw at her. She doesn't need to engage in shouting matches or dramatic exits. She lets her silence speak volumes. It's like trying to capture water with your hands. The more you try to grasp, the more it slips through your fingers. By the time you understand what's happened, she's already moved on, and you're left standing with nothing. 4th, her next success will crush your ego. One of the most satisfying ways a Sigma female gets the last laugh is through her success. You may think your attempts to hurt her will derail her, but they do the exact opposite. Instead of reacting with anger or frustration, she channels her energy into leveling up. Whether it's a new career milestone, a personal achievement, or simply finding joy in her life, her success becomes the spotlight that reveals how little effect you had. What's more, she doesn't seek validation or applause for her wins. When she moves on to her next big thing, she doesn't do it to prove a point to you. She's simply living her life and fulfilling her potential. You, however, will feel the sting of watching her thrive while realizing that your attempts didn't just fail, they were completely irrelevant. The silent burn comes when you see her living her best life, as if you were never part of the equation. Your actions become a footnote in her story, while her successes shine brightly. She's moved on without a second thought, and you're left to wrestle with the reality that you didn't matter as much as you thought. It's this indifference that crushes the ego most, knowing that her happiness is genuine and that your negativity couldn't touch it. 5. Your need for control turns into obsession. When you try to control a Sigma female, your desire for power can quickly spiral into an obsession. You may think you're manipulating the situation, but the reality is, you're the one getting trapped. Sigma females possess an unshakable inner strength that makes them immune to mind games and manipulation tactics. As you push harder to gain control, her unbothered resilience starts to consume your thoughts. The more you try to break her, the more she becomes an enigma. Instead of succumbing to your manipulation, she stands firm, refusing to react. It's this unyielding composure that drives you to think about her more and more. You become fixated, not on breaking her, but on understanding how she remains so calm in the face of your efforts. Your thoughts revolve around her strength, and soon, it becomes all you can think about. Ironically, the more obsessed you become, the less control you actually have. The harder you push, the more you lose yourself in your attempts to rattle her. Meanwhile, she continues her life, unaffected by your behavior. You find yourself in an endless loop of frustration, wondering why nothing you do works. It's a vicious cycle, and she's nowhere near it. She's free, and you're the one ensnared by your own obsession. Sigma females don't fall for the typical bait. Their sense of self is too strong for that. So, while you thought you'd be the one in control, you've instead lost control over yourself. The truth is, she never played your game, and by trying to manipulate her, you've set yourself up for a self-made trap. You'll be stuck, obsessing over her resilience and strength, while she moves on, entirely unaffected. 6. She repurposes the chaos you create. Sigma females are masters of turning adversity into advantage. When you throw chaos her way, she doesn't let it bring her down. Instead, she finds a way to transform it into something that benefits her. Think of her as an emotional alchemist, someone who takes the negativity you dish out and turns it into fuel for her own growth. While others might be derailed by the drama you try to create, a Sigma female is busy repurposing it. She takes the challenges and uses them as stepping stones to build something stronger and more resilient. The more chaos you attempt to create, the more you feed her motivation to rise above it. She's like a skilled architect, using the rubble of your attacks to construct a fortress. By the time you realize what she's done, she's already moved on to the next level, stronger and more focused than before. Your efforts to destabilize her become the very elements she uses to build a better version of herself. It's not just a skill, it's a mindset that she's perfected. Instead of letting challenges shake her, she harnesses their energy and converts it into progress. So, while you thought you'd be the one causing havoc, you end up watching as she uses your chaos to propel herself forward. You've become a stepping stone in her journey, and the more you try to drag her down, the more she grows. When she emerges stronger and more successful, you'll be left in the wreckage of your own making, wondering how she managed to turn everything around. 7. She makes you question your own identity. When you attempt to tear down a Sigma female, you're faced with something unexpected, a mirror. Her unwavering sense of self forces you to confront your own insecurities. Instead of chipping away at her confidence, you end up realizing that the flaws you see are a reflection of your own inner struggles. Sigma females know who they are. They have a solid foundation built on self-awareness and confidence, which makes them nearly impervious to external attacks. When you try to undermine them, all you do is highlight the areas where you fall short. You begin to see that your attempts to bring her down are fueled by your own insecurities, and this realization is a hard pill to swallow. The more you push, the more it becomes clear that the person you're really battling is yourself. It's like fighting a shadow. No matter how hard you swing, you're the one taking the hits. Her confidence doesn't waver, and her silence becomes a stark reminder of how much you have yet to work on within yourself. She doesn't have to say a word. Her mere existence forces you to reflect on your shortcomings. In the end, your efforts to break her only reveal your own vulnerabilities. The battle you thought you were waging against her turns into an uncomfortable journey of self-reflection. She remains unshaken, and you're left questioning why you felt the need to tear her down in the first place. The lesson here is that when you try to hurt someone who is secure in who they are, the only damage done is to yourself. 8. She learns fast and won't fall for the same trick twice. A Sigma female is a quick learner. If, by some rare chance, you manage to hurt her once, that will be the only opportunity you get. She's not the type to repeat mistakes. When she sees a toxic pattern, she adapts and shuts it down before you even have the chance to try it again. Think of her as a mental ninja, swift, precise, and unrelenting when it comes to protecting her peace. You may get away with manipulating her once, but she won't give you a second shot. The moment she sees your intentions, she upgrades her defenses. She adapts and fortifies herself, ensuring you never get the chance to hurt her again. When she recognizes a toxic pattern, she doesn't wait around for it to repeat. She cuts it off at the source. But she won't make a dramatic exit or announce her departure. She'll simply move on, quietly and without warning. One day, you'll find yourself wondering when you lost access to her life. And by then, it's too late. She doesn't do second chances when it comes to people who show their true colors. She values her peace and protects it fiercely. So, while you may have had the upper hand once, it's a fleeting victory. Sigma females don't waste time on reruns or repeat performances. They learn fast, adapt, and keep moving forward. When you try to repeat the same tricks, you'll find the door firmly shut, leaving you locked out of her life for good. 9. She thrives on independence, leaving you powerless. A Sigma female's independence is her greatest asset, and it's something you can't take away from her. She doesn't rely on others for validation or support, and this self-sufficiency makes her immune to your attempts at control. When you try to manipulate or dominate her, you quickly realize that she's not someone who can be tethered or influenced. Instead of succumbing to pressure, she thrives in her own company and finds strength in her independence. This independence gives her the freedom to walk away from anything that doesn't serve her. She isn't afraid to be alone. In fact, she prefers it over compromising her values or autonomy. When you try to tie her down with emotional games or power plays, you end up feeling powerless as she effortlessly slips out of your grasp. Her ability to stand alone is not a weakness. It's a fortress you can't breach. The more you try to take control, the more you see how futile your efforts are. You can't manipulate someone who isn't afraid of losing you because she knows she's enough on her own. You may have power over others who need constant approval, but that doesn't work with her. She's not afraid to walk away and cut ties if she feels someone is trying to limit her freedom or independence. Her confidence and independence ultimately turn the tables on you. While you thought you'd have the upper hand, you become the one stuck in a losing game. A Sigma female doesn't play by the rules you set. She makes her own and lives by them. In the end, her independence leaves you feeling powerless, unable to influence or control her. She walks away from the game victorious, while you're left watching, powerless to change the outcome. 10. She values quality connections, not superficial ones. When you try to manipulate a Sigma female, you quickly realize she's not interested in superficial relationships or connections based on convenience. She values depth, loyalty, and authenticity, and she has no time for people who don't align with these values. This means that when you try to manipulate her emotions or create a false sense of closeness, she can see through it instantly. She's not fooled by charming words or empty gestures. She seeks genuine substance. A Sigma female is incredibly selective about who she allows into her inner circle. She doesn't need a large group of friends or a constant stream of attention to feel fulfilled. Instead, she focuses on building quality connections with people who truly understand her and share her values. This makes it impossible for you to break into her life unless your intentions are authentic and aligned with hers. When you try to create chaos or drama to manipulate her, you find that she's already distanced herself from anything that doesn't add value to her life. She won't engage in mind games or drama because she knows it's not worth her time. Her selective nature acts as a filter, protecting her from superficial and manipulative influences. She can sense when someone is trying to manipulate her, and she has no problem cutting ties when she recognizes toxic behavior. As you struggle to find a way to influence her, you're met with a wall of resistance. She simply won't waste her energy on connections that lack depth. This leaves you unable to penetrate her world because she's already built a life surrounded by people she genuinely trusts and values. While you're left on the outside looking in, she continues to build meaningful connections, proving that only those who truly add value are allowed in her life. 11. She doesn't seek approval, making your tactics ineffective. Many people can be influenced through their need for approval and validation, but not a Sigma female. She's entirely comfortable in her own skin and doesn't seek external validation to feel good about herself. This inner confidence makes your manipulation tactics ineffective, as she doesn't crave or need your approval. You can try to flatter her or criticize her, but neither approach will work because her self-worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. When you realize she doesn't need your approval, it can be a frustrating experience. Compliments that might work on others fall flat, and attempts to undermine her confidence have no effect. She simply doesn't care what you think of her, as her confidence comes from within. This self-assurance is like a shield, making it impossible for you to manipulate her emotions or control her actions. A Sigma female knows her worth and isn't afraid to walk away from people who try to undermine her. She understands that self-respect and self-love are far more important than anyone else's approval. So, when you try to create a scenario where she might feel compelled to seek your validation, you find yourself disappointed. Her strength lies in her independence and her refusal to rely on anyone else's opinion to define her worth. As you continue to try to find ways to influence her, you'll only end up frustrated. She doesn't operate on the same wavelength as those who need constant validation. Instead, she stays true to herself, unaffected by outside opinions. Your manipulation tactics become useless, and you realize that the only person impacted by your attempts is you. In conclusion, trying to hurt a Sigma female is a losing battle, one that backfires and leaves you dealing with the fallout of your own actions. A Sigma female possesses a rare combination of strength, independence, emotional intelligence, and resilience that make her virtually untouchable to those who seek to undermine her. She doesn't engage in petty games or emotional manipulation, and instead rises above, maintaining her focus on her own path and goals. Every attempt to control or harm her only serves as fuel for her growth. Whether you try to throw her off balance or create chaos, she repurposes those challenges, turning them into opportunities for her own success. Instead of reacting with anger or seeking revenge, she chooses to adapt and move forward with grace and poise, leaving you in the dust as she levels up. The truth is, a Sigma female's strength lies in her independence and her unwavering sense of self. She doesn't need validation from others, and she doesn't depend on superficial connections to feel fulfilled. She's selective about who she allows into her life, and she's not afraid to walk away from toxic influences. When you attempt to manipulate or hurt her, You quickly realize that she's not someone who can be controlled or shaken easily. In the end, all attempts to harm a Sigma female only highlight your own weaknesses. Her resilience, self-assuredness, and ability to thrive independently create a scenario where every action you take against her becomes a catalyst for her personal growth and success. As she continues to grow and evolve, you're left dealing with the consequences of your own choices, realizing too late that you were never truly in control. The best course of action? Respect her strength and independence. Acknowledge that a Sigma female is not someone to be underestimated or controlled, but rather admired and appreciated. Trying to bring her down will only serve as a reminder of just how powerful and resilient she truly is, while you're left wondering why you ever thought you could win against her in the first place.